G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go, another video after a little bit of a break again. I just haven't been playing the game that much recently. I've been quite busy and a bit tired, not really feel like playing, so I don't really have much race material to make videos on, but I did have this from a couple of weeks ago, Daily Race B, Group 3, at Maggiore, and here we go, second on the grid, jumping straight into the race here, but behind the Volkswagen, driven by that player ahead. Unfortunately, both run extremely deep into turn 1, bit of a tandem run deep there. Shepherd a Lamborghini off halfway through turn 2 there, catch some oversteer. We have dirty tyres now, the Lamborghini just shows his hand, he's probably not too pleased about that move at turn 2 there, and I'll get mugged by the Toyota FT1. Heading through turn 3, Turn 4, I've got him on the outside. Get oversteer on the exit of turn 4 as well. I'm going to lose another position down into 5th. Another Supra driven by Cyclone Dan there. I'm going to brake nice and early, nice and conservative for turn 5 here. Just recovering from the dirty tyres there. And I've got a car on my right hand side there, and he almost pit manoeuvres me there. That was a little bit dodgy. I don't know whether I moved across his front a little bit, but I feel like he could have avoided that. But it's not to worry, we'll just settle in behind Cyclo Dan, who runs quite wide through turn 8, leads him for a poor line through turns 9 and 10. Obviously don't want to do that as you got this straight here. You need to get a nice solid run down the straight here, looking for the move there. It happens. I get it stopped on the apex. What a textbook move. How beautiful was that? Don't want to toot my own horn, but I just completely sailed up the inside and got it stopped on the apex. Absolutely beautiful move there, if I do say so myself. So now I'm just going to have to keep an eye on this pair up ahead. The lead is bolted, thanks to us kind of fighting just behind him there. He's got himself quite the lead there by over 2 seconds between him and the Lamborghini. But for now, I think we can just try and focus on trying to get second position here. You can see the FT1 is a little bit slow on the exit of turn 16, and through turn 17, he gets a nice run through there, as do we. So we're just going to have to focus on the slipstream, heading down the pit straight here. Lamborghini and Toyota side by side. There's going to be no room for myself to go for a move down the inside. Just have a little look at turn 1, but the FT1 covers it off beautifully. I've got a car very close behind me, Cyclone Dan once again, so we're just going to have to be careful. We're in a bit of a precarious position in terms of the race here. We're attacking whilst defending, and that is a very tricky thing to do. I think it's important to make sure you've got your defense down pat first of all, before trying to go on the offense, trying to catch up positions there, looking up the inside at turn 5. Not quite going to happen. The FT1 comes in for that apex, and I'm not able to get the car up the inside there. So we remain in 4th at this point here. Cyclone Dan still 2 tenths behind me. That's going to be prime distance for slipstream down the main straight here, and you've got a very good overtaking opportunity at the end of said straight in turn 11 there. Big banky boy. But as we head onto the straight, you can see the FT1 got the power down nicely, heading through the S's there, and unfortunately we are quite far back in terms of slipstream, but Cyclone Dan is behind me, has got my slipstream. He has a little look, but he pulls in behind just before the corner there. Wasn't quite going to work out. So the Supra, very good for this race actually. It was one of the top cars on the leaderboard, I think. Very quick around this circuit and good down the straight as well, which is really what you want to be able to do. The cars like the Toyota FT1 and the Volkswagen Beetle aren't as great down the straight, so they're going to be susceptible to moves down there, especially against the Supra. So being in the Supra, you're going to be the one making moves on slower cars down that straight, which is really the main overtaking opportunity. That's why it's so important to be able to get the advantage on the straight, so you can make use of that, you know, essentially one good overtaking opportunity. But as we head through the final corner, starting lap 3, Cyclone Dan got the overlap on the way out of the corner, and he goes up the inside there, a little bit of contact on the way through, and he gets himself a 1 second penalty, so that is quite unfortunate for Mr. Dan there. It's not really anyone's fault that the penalty system is extremely terrible at the moment. It's about the worst it's been, I think, in my opinion. You got penalties that completely ruin the race that nobody did anything wrong on. You know, there's no reason for penalties to be getting given out, and they are ruining quite good races there. So that's Cyclone Dan out of the mix there. He's out of my slipstream. I'm not going to be worrying about him anymore. So I've just got to focus on the Lamborghini up ahead. So while all that was happening with Cyclone Dan, the two cars up ahead, the Toyota and the Lamborghini, have swapped positions. Toyota now in second, Lamborghini now in third. I am in slipstream range of the Lamborghini, but that is also another good car in a straight line. So I am going to have to just make sure that I don't fall off the back of this guy here in the Lamborghini, who also has the slipstream off the Toyota FT1. So it might be a little bit of an impossible move at turn 11, probably way too far back for that, and we definitely are, sorry, but we do catch up a lot of ground under braking, but losing on the exit there, probably running in a bit too hot there. Almost run side by side up ahead, actually. That would have been interesting in terms of these two S's of turns 12 and 13. Running side by side through there is very hard to do, as especially the right-hander of turn 13 is, it's hard enough to get right on its own, let alone with a car beside you, so we do have to watch out for that. But you can see they've run through this final sector, sort of fighting and squabbling a little bit, and I'm right on the back of the Lamborghini now, heading into the final lap. So we have managed to keep up with these pair up ahead. I've got one lap to make two moves, as I definitely think second position is possible. That is where we qualified, so I know that we are faster than this pair here. Gonna look around the outside of turn 1 of the Lamborghini here. Solid move, translates to the inside for turn 2, but it just gets a little bit awkward there with the Lamborghini. And, that really wasn't ideal there. I think the Lamborghini kind of turned across my front a little bit, but I don't think I was halfway alongside in order for him to really require to give me space. And it almost spins him out, but he recovers. We both recover. I just let him in ahead, so that's second position completely gone. Best we can get is third now, after that bit of a clumsy move from the pair of us, I would say. It's not particularly my fault 100%, but that wouldn't have been his fault 100% either. But we'll continue on all the same. Heading through the S's section for the final time. We're going to have to focus on getting a good run, get a nice line through turn 8, cut turn 8, flat out through turn 9, now, and turn 10 as we head up the hill towards turn 11. I'm going to look at the inside there, but he completely shuts the door. No space there. That's a little bit of a dodgy defensive move, but we'll let that one slide. We're going to look around the outside of turn 11. It can be done. I have done it before. And then on the exit there, I just get the cut back there. Heading up towards turn 12, and he completely shepherds me off the track there. That is blatant dirty driving. There is no doubt about that. I had the run. I was alongside. He completely just pushes me off the track. He selects the middle of the road there. Not able to switch up the inside as we go through turn 14. And I just run myself wide. So that's going to be, unless he horrifically bins it, it's going to be a fourth position for me after kind of it looking at for a long portion of that race that I could possibly get second. It's going to be a fourth at the end of the day. I really wasn't too pleased with the defensive moves of the Lamborghini there, so that is pretty much a masterclass on how to not defend. Basically, don't do what the Lamborghini did and you'll be the best defender in the world. But you can see, fourth position. Congratulations to the guy driving the Beetle in fourth for a race win there, but that was actually quite a good race, aside from the dodgy defensive tactics employed by the Lamborghini driver. He's definitely going to have to watch himself there. That was kind of two strikes in the same race, in the same lap, in the same sector, basically, within one corner of each other. Obviously, a bit dodgy. But we go again. This is the next slot, and the Lamborghini has disappeared, so I don't have a chance to return his favour, or return the favour of the dodgy defences. Not saying that I would particularly participate in that, but if it came to an opportunity where I didn't have to leave him space when he was there, I probably would cut him off. Just to kind of say, well, you cut me off, so now it's your turn. But we'll go into this second race. We don't have to worry about that Lamborghini, we just have to worry about the Toyota Supra, driven by the guy in second, and the Toyota FT1, driven by the guy in first. Just gonna have to worry about those two at this point in the race here. That's pretty generally what you do in a race. You worry about the people around you. But we're gonna try and focus on trying to catch up with the leader, but Doesn't quite work out there. And what else doesn't quite work out is the move that I tried to do on the Supra there. It was a very half-hearted lunge there, and we both end up losing time. I wasn't able to slot up the inside at turn 5, which is an overtaking opportunity, by the way. Probably the second best on the circuit after turn 11. But you can see it translates to an extremely terrible run through the S's, but thankfully we get the power down nicely on the exit of the S's, and we're in the slipstream, heading up the straight there. I can tell by the body language of this Supra ahead, he wanted to go defensive, but he doesn't quite get that done. And then looking down on the radar, 3 abreast temporarily as we go through turn 11. A little bit of contact on the way out with the Toyota FT1, putting the move on me, but I now have put that Toyota Supra on my right-hand side, which is the outside for turn 12, inside for turn 13, but he wasn't able to keep it around the outside in order to get that move completed. So essentially, second and fourth swap positions around me, and I stayed in third. Or was I in second? I don't actually remember. No, I was in third, wasn't I? Yes. You can see the car completely almost spins out, heading through turn 15, just kind of bounced awkwardly on the curb there, and we lose the position to the Supra that we were just racing. So the leader has once again gotten away. Second place very wide, and then this Supra is very unpredictable with its moves. I don't know what the word is. Unpredictable, I think, is the right word. Completely sail down the inside of turn 1. No contact on the way through. An absolutely beautiful move. And get the position done. Back up into third position. And now we're going to focus on this Toyota FT1 in second now. Different Toyota FT1 aside from the one in first. Let's see if we can get the power down nicely through turn 4. Down the hill towards turn 5, obviously. 5 comes after 4. And looking on the left-hand side for our braking point on the end of that thin white curb, and get it set into the corner nicely. Try and get the power down up the hill in this Supra is very difficult. It's a very oversteery machine, and you're basically still turning. You've basically got half the corner to go until you need to straighten up. So the car likes to oversteer even in third gear. But as we head through this XS section now, you can see we've actually broken the slipstream from the guys behind, and the guy ahead of me has also broken the slipstream off me. So that means that we were kind of on our own for a little bit. So we skip ahead a lap into lap 3 now into the SS section. Just have a look at the gaps kind of surrounding my car, both hovering around a second either side. But the Toyota FT1 actually gets a poor run through the S's on this particular occasion here. And as we head through turn 10, we actually have the slipstream of the Toyota FT1 up ahead. Given that Toyota is not that great in a straight line compared to this Toyota that I'm driving, the Supra, we are going to catch up quite a lot of ground. Under braking 2, let's get into the corner and get out of the corner. Toyota FT1 almost has a little bit of an oversteer moment, or definitely has a bit of an oversteer moment on the exit there, and almost moves to the inside, but sees me at the last second. He's now on the inside for turn 13. I'd give him the space on the inside, just let him slot in ahead. We have another lap to try and get this move done, so let's not bin it or get a penalty or anything of the like. Heading in through turn 15, the car just oversteers on the way into the corner again. It's happened again, and then I've lost the position to the Supra again, so I definitely have a little bit of a deja vu moment, and that really hampers my aspirations of getting second position in this race, as I've lost control of the car at the same corner for the second time in this race. It's not ideal, but we're going to look for the move up the inside of the Toyota here. I'm halfway alongside there. I think he went to turn in and saw me and just turns out of it. Was a small portion of contact, but I think that was just about okay. I think I was well enough alongside by the time we needed to turn in. It was just a late lunge, but late lunge, of course, if you meet the apex, is actually perfectly fine, because that suggests the other person broke early. But we'll move on. The guy was losing control in the back, so we don't have to worry so much about him anymore, and just focus on this Toyota FT1 ahead once again. Trying to get up the hill. You can see the car just wants to oversteer. 3, 4, 5 attempts at trying to catch the car, trying to keep it as straight as possible. Heading up the hill on the exit of turn 5, and then into the SS section. As long as we can keep the car balanced, cut that corner a lot, cut this one a lot too. A little bit of a feather of the throttle as we are in slipstream. Don't want to understeer off, obviously. onto the straight nicely. He goes defensive. He knows that there's a possibility to move. Runs to the left, runs back to the right. A couple of movements down the straight. A little bit dodgy, but not to worry. Got to look around the outside of turn 11. We managed to keep it there on the apex. Does he leave us room on the exit? He does. Just about leave us enough room there. Very respectful driving, but no. The penalty system must weigh in, must have its say in the operation there, and completely destroys the race that we were both having. It was a very good race at that as well. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'll go back and have a look. Where was the penalty? I think we made slight contact on the exit. I just rubbed the side of his car and then overtook. Or, you know, the positions changed, but that was really nothing. The slight bit of rubbing didn't impact whether or not I was going to get that position, as I would have got that position regardless of whether there was a little bit of contact, as minuscule as it was. But the Toyota FT1 does get second at least. I can thank my lucky stars that it was only a matter of second and third. You know, I didn't get a massive penalty and end up finishing 6th or something. That would have been a lot more painful, but at least it was only 3rd that I finished in. Really should have been a 2nd, that. Really painful penalty system we're dealing with at the moment. But we're going to have a look at the lobby afterwards, because you can see the guy apologised to me, and I think, you know, I do have something to say about this. It's not his fault at all. The penalty system, I think the way it is at the moment, the way the penalties are being dished out, is making people feel like they can't drive. And I feel like people then lose the motivation, and, you know, they get that false mentality in their head that, you know, well, I keep giving people penalties, so what's the point of me even participating? And then you begin to lose players. On top of that, you're going to be losing players in protest of the fact that the penalty system is so bad and they're not doing anything about it. So that's why I was like there. It's not your fault. The penalty system is crap. We were having a good race, and he goes, yes, I think so too. So, you know, no bad blood between us, but I just think it's important to recognise that players are going to stop playing if they don't fix this penalty system. I don't know why they don't go back to the one that was about 14, 15 months ago. I think that was one of the better systems that we had. But I don't know. But they're obviously focusing on Gran Turismo 7, which I can understand, but they definitely need to make sure that, you know, the first project is complete to the best of their ability before taking on a second one. Which I think is kind of what's happening with GT Sport and GT7. GT Sport is not perfect for them to be saying, oh, you can play this for the entire duration while we were making Gran Turismo 7. Because it's really not, you know, Gran Turismo Sport is not as enjoyable now as it was a year and a bit ago, about a year ago, when the penalty system was actually decent. You know, when you could have a good race and trust that the penalty system will delegate the correct penalties for a given situation. At the moment, you can get punted off and get yourself a 5-second penalty, and the other guy gains a position, and it's all G, you know. So, you know, there's definitely work to be done. I definitely hope they develop a new penalty system. There's definitely, you know, it's definitely easy enough to do. There's plenty of people that I watch that, you know, can come up with their own penalty system in their head, and, you know, it seems logically that it would work. I'm not quite sure how GT Sport actually works in terms of penalties, but whatever it is, it's not great. But that's my penalty rant over. We'll move on to the final race in the video now. I put it on pole position, and I've got another Toyota Supra in my slipstream. So pole position at this track, mainly you've just got to extend out enough of a gap before the straight in order for them to not be able to slipstream past down the straight towards turn 11. I successfully did that on this lap, so as long as we can continue to do that for 4 laps, we're going to be all G. There's definitely been a little bit of dodgy driving, both by my opponents and myself, and I've kind of been robbed of a couple of better finishes than they actually were. So if we can hold on to this first position, that would be very, very good. I would call that ideal, actually. It is the most ideal outcome in a race if you finish first. Generally, that is the consensus. but as we head down the pit straight, he's 6 tenths behind, so that is, you know, only 1.5 more tenths, and we have broken the slipstream. He did get a little bit of gaining done down the main straight, or pit straight there, and as long as we can kind of just extend the gap through the opening sector, a lot of corners one after the other before turn 5, so as long as, you know, as long as we don't make any horrific glaring errors through each of the corners, we should be fine to keep this position. On the exit there, he gained about 0.5 tenth overall through that opening sector. It's now about 5.5 tenths the gap instead of 6. So we're just going to have to, you know, make sure we get the braking right for turn 5. We meet that apex beautifully that time. Bit of an oversteer moment, a little bit more than I would like there. But as we're heading up the hill, he obviously got a way worse exit there, and he has fallen out of the slipstream range. We're nearly 8 tenths ahead of him, heading through the S's section now. And as we go out onto the straight here, look at that, the gap is 8.5 tenths. As we head out onto the main straight, that is absolutely beautiful in terms of the race here. Skip ahead to the end of lap 3. I'm actually going to show you this lap, as this is my best lap of the week. Having a look on the left-hand side, braking just on the blue van as it disappears off the edge of your screen. Second gear, trail brake for the last portion of the entry. Gets the car slowed up nicely for turn 2. Onto the power gently. You are going to oversteer, so be prepared to catch it. Turn 3, turning in just before the line across the road. Looking over on the right-hand side, braking just on the end of the orange barrier. Second gear corner, you can short shift to third for a smoother exit. Very bumpy exit as you run wide off the edge of that curb. And we have a straight following. Looking on the left-hand side, braking point for turn 5, just on the end of that thin white curb. Make sure you're starting to turn in before you brake, otherwise you'll just understeer off the track. And then you've got to try and keep the car balanced. Heading in towards the S's section now, braking and turning in at the same time, just on the black mark on the curb on the right-hand side of the entry. Cut this corner here, turn 7, cut turn 8 as well. Don't run too wide off the grass. There, and then turn 9 and 10 easily flat. Use the curb to get the car hooked up. Curb on the exit, line of least resistance, heading down the main straight. Left hand side, you're looking on the braking point for turn 11, just on the black box, just before the 50 metre board. Nice banked corner, you can carry a lot of speed and brake very late into that corner there. A little bit of oversteer on the exit just to get the corner finished off. I quite liked it when the car did that. Flat out through turn 12, flat out through turn 13 when you get it right. About the perfect amount of curb I took there. That's about as much as you want to take. Left hand side braking point just after that first big shadow before the 50 metre board. Hooked up to that apex nicely, gently on the power, third gear, and a little bit more braking. Done for turn 15 and 16. Goes directly from turn 15. Get onto the power nicely. Look on the right hand side just before the 50 metre board. Turn in, drop a gear down into 4th. Take a nice smooth run through the final corner, follow that line out to the exit curb, up towards the line. This is a 1:55.2. That is a bloody blistering lap, if I say so myself. Top qualifying times were a low 54, so I'm less than a second, or about a second, off the top time in the race. And if you're setting low 55s in the race, you're doing quite well, you know. It is possible to get 54s in the race, but I think about where I'm at with my skill level, a low 55 was just about appropriate. And I can say that lap was incredibly satisfying to complete, which is why I decided to keep it in and show you. But we finish off the video with a victory, which is nice after a couple of dodgy penalties and a couple of dodgy driving incidents there, but it's nice to finish with a victory. I do hope you enjoyed this one. This will probably be my last video before the new year. I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I do thank you very much for watching, those of you that did throughout this year. I had quite a good stint at about the middle portion of the year. It's kind of dropped off a bit, you know. I just have to recharge my batteries. I'm going away for the Christmas period as well, so that should recharge my batteries, and hopefully, you know, there can be some refreshments to my attitude towards GT Sport, and hopefully the FIA times can change at some point next year so I can actually participate in them, because that was quite a significant chunk of my content. But that's going to be the end of this one today. Do hit that like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, constructive criticism, as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.